Hey, and welcome to the Calvin Child Show. Today, I have Colette Debose here in the building.
Hi.
How are you today?
I am excited. I'm blessed to be here and to be on your podcast and to share my story and to hear a little bit about yours as well. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We really appreciate that. Let's start
Absolutely.
with the basics. Where are you from?
So I'm born and raised here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm a 90s baby. I don't want to tell my age, but I'm a 90s baby, born and raised here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And then, of course, from there, my life began. But that's my background in
Okay.
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Now, what's it like in Bridgeport? What's the modeling scene like?
So honestly, I didn't start modeling in Bridgeport. I mean, I just jump right into like my journey of life, I guess?
Let's just start from
Okay,
wherever you
all
want
right.
to start.
So I started off here in Bridgeport, my hometown, playing basketball. I was always a baller girl from like 5 years old throughout high school, college, middle school, you name it, I was the baller. So people know me a lot from Bridgeport as Colette the basketball player. So they was shocked to see me on Facebook and modeling. They're like, "Oh, she models? We know her to be the baller." So my background stems from that. I was born and raised in the Christian church. My father is a pastor, but also known as a prophesying guitarist. So our home and our household was stemmed around that. We even did like Bible studies. So the kids would come into our house on Wednesdays for Bible study as we're playing outside and football and tag, so that was our dynamic of our life, or my life for sure. But Bridgeport has a rep of being like the hood or an inner city environment, but be honest with you, it's a wonderful community. We all stick together. If you know, we know each other. Our neighborhoods is overlooked, but we always stick together. It's my home. I could go anywhere in the world and I would say, you know what, although it may not be the biggest or greatest name or popular city or state, that's my hometown. That's where I was started at. That's where my roots are. That's where my family and friends are from. So this is always home for me, so that's a little bit of my little Bridgeport background.
Okay. So let's put the brakes on things for a second.
Okay.
Because you said you play basketball. Let's talk about that. Okay. What's your favorite team?
In WNBA or NBA or college?
NBA.
You know what's so crazy? I'm a little biased on this. The NBA had changed so much, as you know. The franchise, the rules, is becoming very Hollywood, WWE per se. So someone who enjoys the game of basketball from a player perspective, the game has changed dramatically. To say all that to say is, I don't really watch NBA no more. I kind of start tapping into the YouTube basketball. So you got the TNC, Ball is Life, Off the Dribble. These guys out here, they're playing raw, unedited. They going straight at your chest, and that's real basketball. Growing up, that's all I knew. We play real basketball. All that Hollywood little tap on your ankle, I breathe on you too heavy is a foul. No, we playing real ball. So I kind of steered to the YouTube basketball, and I've been watching that predominantly. But if I had to choose an NBA team, I would say the Lakers because I was a big Kobe fan. So
That's my favorite team too. That was
I
my
would
favorite
have
team.
to. Right now, they're not. But if I had to be honest, I would say Kobe.
Kobe era. Okay.
There you go. You got it. You got it.
More the James Worthy era.
Oh, you taking it back? Yeah.
Way back. So, all right, but we talk about basketball. What's your favorite position? 1, 2,
I played.
4, 5.
I'll let you guess. What do you think was my position?
I saw you play. So I already.
You saw a little clip.
I did my homework now.
You did.
You specialize in the 12-footer right there.
Okay?
Right?
Don't you do that now.
Step back. I saw the step back.
Oh, I'm rusty now. I'm rusty now. But back in the day, I was always the tallest. Middle school, high school, I was always the tallest. But I was very, very, very slim. So they put me as a center because I was tall. But as I graduated to college, those girls are big. I mean, so I had to adjust from playing like a 5'4" to now being more of a 3 player. So I had to kind of work on my handles more and, being that kind of player. But I was always like a 5'4". Then when I went to Atlanta, which we'll get there, when I moved to Atlanta, I joined a semi-pro team. And those girls are, they're it's a
when you
whole.
get to college, you'd be like, "Oh, I thought I was the big man on campus. That
If
jump
you,
high, run fast, and do everything."
oh my goodness! When I tell you they're Amazons, huge. The point guards are 6 feet. You know, these are some big players. So I was still very, very petite, but I always had height to me. Then my arms is long. You know, my arms they would get you in your sleep. You know, so I had to adjust a lot. But I would say for me right now, a 3. I'm a very solid 3 player. 3-4 is my game. I will do a center if I have to, but I'm more of a 3-4. You know, like a Lamar Odom at his prime.
Oh, Lamar was good in his prime.
Lamar was
All right.
good now.
So if you had a basketball in your hand right now, I told you take 10 shots from the 3. How many would you hit?
From the 3-point line?
Yeah.
NBA or college, middle school?
College. We not talking not talking from the backyard.
Oh man, that's tough. I would say a solid out of 10. I'll probably be fair to myself. A back to back or just in total? I'll probably do about 5.
5?
About 5. I could do about 5 for sure. 5.
Okay. You're not gonna be right.
I'll do
Right.
5,
You're not
right?
gonna be okay. You're not gonna be the 3-point contest, but you're not gonna look bad.
Yeah. If I'm doing it about, got my stamina together and we just standing there still shots, I'll give you about 3 to 5. If we're running all that, man, I'll give you 1. I'll try to do 1.
Okay. So what was your pregame ritual? Did you have any certain thing you did before you played a game that kind of kept you in the zone and kept you on track?
Not really, but one thing that I didn't like as much was having my family come to watch me play. Shockingly, I didn't enjoy it because it made me more nervous. Like if my family came to play, I felt extremely nervous. I feel like I had to really put on, and it made me get out of my game. I'm out of my head. I'm doing too much to show off. Anybody could come watch me play, but once my parents come, or my siblings, it's like, oh, they're watching me. Like, what you got? What you been working on?
And they're only watching you.
Only watching me, Lord. Then if my dad a character on his own, so he yelling, "Oh, God bless you, God bless you." And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I was very nervous, So when my parents came to watch me, or my siblings, I'm not gonna lie to you, that probably was like the worst games I ever played because I was super nervous. I wanted to do great for them and play my best, but then I'm getting out of my game and then I'm in my head. So, but other than that, I didn't really have a ritual. Honestly, I just kind of keep it chill.
Now there was a time when female basketball players weren't sex symbols. Now they are. Now they're like, okay. So with that being said, they weren't like commonly like, okay, I can't wait to meet this girl in the WNBA, the girl on the basketball team. Now it's like, okay, she's on the basketball team, she all right. So with that being said, did you have a certain hairstyle or anything like that kind of you would always play in?
Honestly, no. It changed a lot. Of course, as a little, wearing ponytails and buns. And as I got older, you're doing different twist out styles, kinky twists, extensions. But that was really never my thing. Like I was honestly, when I say I was a true baller, that was me day in and day out. I was strictly basketball. So I wasn't really into the glam and the modeling. I always loved fashion though. Ask anybody, Colette would put on an outfit, she would dress, but that was just my aesthetic, but I was so much into like the glam and have my hair or my eyelashes on to play basketball. I'm like, once I'm playing ball, I'm playing ball. When I'm not playing ball, I have this on, so that was kind of my thing.
So let me ask you, was that how you kind of got discovered for modeling?
Great question. So to fast track a little bit, I went to college with the Albertus Magnus College, did 1 year there, which is in New Haven, Connecticut. Then I went to Southington, Connecticut, which is now called Lincoln College of New England. And I played 1 year there. And the coach that was there, he introduced me to a semi-pro basketball league that was taking place in Atlanta. So I'm like, okay, great. I could do that. I was never studious. To be honest with you, I was never a studious kid. I was more like hands-on. Whatever you tell me has to make sense. I have to figure out how I could apply it. So my coach was pushing me to go after college or after high school. I was just trying to get to a bag. I skipped, Sweet 16 and the prom. I skipped that to go buy a car in the Bronx. I was always about a money girl. I was always the fly chick. Everybody know Colette. Oh, she was always fly. That was my thing. I was always kind of like Forget school. I want the money. So I skipped prom to go buy a car cash, in the Bronx. Then after that, my coach was like, well, you need to go to college. I said, I don't got to go to college. I just need some money. My dad said, either you're going to pay some rent or you're going to college. So I said, you know what? I think I might go to college. It beats paying rent. So I said, no, I'll go to college. I don't want to pay no rent. So my coach got me into college, and that's how that took place. So the fast track, he told me about us in my pro basketball league in Atlanta. I was conditioning, trying out to prepare to go to that tryout in Atlanta. In the midst of me coaching and going through drills, preparing myself, I end up tearing my meniscus ligament in my left knee. And I said, good God, Lord, the guy said I teared my knee. I can't make it to the tryout now. So I'm like, oh man, now I got to stay home and pay rent in the hood. I said, I can't do this. So I was really upset. And I was kind of beating myself about it for a couple of weeks. Then I went to the doctor. I did some rehab. And they said, you know what? Your knee's not that bad. You don't need surgery. They said, if you don't baby it, you can still kind of use it. So I was like, okay, cool. So I called my coach. I'm like, hey, got the gym today? He said, yeah. So within like about 2 weeks, I went right back to training. So I tore meniscus ligament. It was swollen, like a baseball bat on my knee, like a baseball.
Oh, man.
It was swollen. It was huge. But I said I was so eager and anxious and dedicated to basketball. I was like, I'm going to make this tryout. Hit or miss, I'm going to go. So 2 weeks in of my injury, I went back to training. Train in the gym. And that kind of got better. It strengthened it a little bit, but was not completely 100% there. I go to the tryout, and I was trash. I'm winded. Left leg is slacking. You call me little tink tink. My leg was it was dragging behind. So I'm behind on all the drills. I'm winded. These girls, once again, these are semi-pro league. They above the game. They could play overseas if they wanted to. So I'll be honest, I was horrible. I did not play my best. I still had an injured knee, but I didn't tell them that. But the one thing about God is he will give you favor and he will open up those doors, so the coach that was the head coach of that team, he just had favor on me. He just like, what, I don't know what it is, but I really like you. He said, so we're going to accept you back. And I got that call probably, I went to tryouts, I would say maybe October, December, right before New Year's. They gave me a call like, hey, we was debating on calling you, being honest with you. It wasn't really going in your favor, but the coach really likes you. If you come down here next couple of days, you got a spot on the team. Packed my car up probably about 2 or 3 days before New Year's Eve, 2011, December. We packed our car up, me and my dad, my parents, my mom, packed my car up, and we drove down there to McDonough, Georgia. Took about 18-hour drive. And that's when my journey started as a young lady.
Okay. Okay. So where did modeling come? When did that come about?
So that came in once I was out there. I played with the team, and there was a verbiage in the contract which I didn't read. Once again, I was young, didn't read the contract, just signed it, and it was in a statement of per game that you win, you get paid. So which means if you don't win, you're not getting paid. So there was all the out of town players live like in a semi mansion, like 6-bedroom house. And one day we get a knock on the door. Bang, 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 bang. So we all started like, oh, who's this? Early morning. We think it's the police. A lady come in. Everybody get your stuff and get out my house. We said, get out your house. So our team manager that was responsible, he wasn't paying the rent. So anytime that we don't get paid, he don't pay the rent, but he wasn't telling us that. So we're just 4 young girls out of town. I was the furthest from Connecticut. Everybody's like North Carolina, Alabama, so everybody's closer to Georgia than I was. So we pretty much had to get evicted without knowing why or what's taking place, So I was in a hardship, I was kind of going couch to couch in my car some nights, called my cousins that I never met. Hey, I haven't met you before, but I need some help, and thank God for my cousin Lynn, and my Aunt Nora and Cherie and Nisi. They really stepped up and was there to help me in my time of need. But with that taking place, I met a guy named Ben Pitts, which is a great friend of mine to this day. And he was on my couch in my apartment that I had got at that time. And we just came up with the idea to start a radio show. So he was the host, I was the co-host, I was doing the segments, and we start meeting plethora of people, from the music industry, Carlos Miller before he was Carlos Miller, Rodney Perry. We started meeting designers, Lala, so we was meeting a lot of these people that you see to this day that are big. We was interviewing them back in 2013, 14, in the midst of that, people was asking like, hey, you're pretty, you got the height, I want you to model for my show. And I'm like, no, I'm a baller. I don't model. Never did in my life. I'm a baller. I don't do that. Like, thank you, but no thank you. And I just continue to get asked. Like, people just kept asking me. So one day I just like, you know what? I'll do a show. And I did one show. And from there, I just kept getting booked for shows. I didn't take no classes. I did my own due diligence. I look in the mirror. I put on some music, watch some YouTube clips, and I would walk for about an hour or two a day in my heels in the mirror. And that I just did that. That was my training. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I got to figure out how to look, how to pose, how to stand up straight, And the more I did it, it became more of a routine. It became natural for me. Then I started getting comfortable, and I started loosening my arms, and my sway became more, content. And that just became my runway. My runway became my backyard, and I kept getting booked.
That's amazing. How's your turning?
Turning is great. What's so crazy? When I learned modeling, I learned from a not say urban perspective, but like up and coming, right? So they want you to do more of that charismatic, swaying and turning and very theatrical. But as you get higher up in runway, it's a certain kind of posture and poise that they're looking for. You can still have your character, please. By all means, models, don't change your walk regarding to your sway. Everybody has their own
Everybody signature.
Everybody has their own signature, but it's an unspoken expectation when you get to a certain level of modeling that they do expect. They don't want that kind of Atlanta, Chicago, super theatrical. And some stages do. Some stages
Do,
require that.
do you have room in there to show us your walk?
Oh, I'm over here in my dining room and I got sweatpants on. Shh. I wish I could, I would get on a one-on-one with you and I'll do a catwalk and I'll show you different types of walks. Cause I had to learn it myself. I started off just doing that more of the, I would say, urban walks, which is fine. Once again, these are not bad walks. It requires different walks with different platforms.
So when you first saw a show, I'm assuming you saw some girls walk before you did. Then they said, okay, your turn. What was the look on your face?
So these casting calls ain't no joke, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is what kind of built me to have tough skin, and it got me comfortable to be within my skin. Once again, I was just a basketball player, old school Christian grown church folk, so cover up, don't show no skin. That was my mentality for years. So going into these platforms, you got to get used to showing some skin and also getting comfortable within your body, your structure, your skin is showing that. So going to these casting calls, I'm not going to lie to you, Calvin, I was nervous. I said, these girls could walk. These girls is walking, and they had great, confidence. And I just was really, I would say, uncertain. I was very uncertain. But one thing I always say, I was always confident in myself. Whatever I did, I was confident. If I didn't know what I was doing, I'm going to show up confident, head high. And I was very charismatic. So that really helped me as well as I got into these rooms is personality. You got to show who you are, be friendly, speak up, joke, laugh. And I think that's really what opened doors for me more than my modeling gift. It was like, Colette, we love her. Who's Colette? Hey, girl. So by the time got my name called, Colette, you next, or number 34, whoever, they already knew who I was. And it just made it easier for me to kind of grace that runway or that casting.
Always tell models, you can walk when another model come and say, can you show me how to walk? Did that ever happen to you? Did that ever happen to you? You're done training, you're done learning when another model comes to you and say, hey, can you show me how to walk?
Right. Or they say, you inspired me. My thing is, whatever we do, we have to make sure that we are giving the light and the glory to God, because it's not really our gifts. Our gifts is to demonstrate who God is to us and within us. So if you're doing something and someone say, hey, you inspired me, you encouraged me, you sparked something in me, that's what God is in you, and he's reaching out to those who are seeking him too. So my job is to display who he is in plethora of ways. If it's modeling, if it's me talking, just being charismatic or comedic in a way, playing basketball, I just want to be able to show who God is to the world. So before I go to these casting calls, I network. I tell the models, network, meet these people,
Mm-hmm.
brush some shoulders, make them smile, make them laugh. So when they see you, oh yeah, that's Colette. Oh yeah, that's Calvin. Come on in. You might even do a
Right.
casting because they know you so well or so fond of you. They're like, oh yeah, she's good. And that happens.
So let's talk about shows. All right.
Yeah.
There's different levels of designers, or let me rephrase that. Some designers do different types of collections. All
Yeah.
right. So I'm going to ask you, were you a part of certain collections? And you can just say yeah, no. And then if you were, tell me one of the outfits that you can remember wearing. Let's start with avant-garde.
Okay. So I'm saying yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Avant-garde, I would say that's more like what? High-end, like out there couture kind of
Like
look.
just birds on your chest and just something crazy.
Ooh. You got me I'm 35. I've been modeling since 24, 23. Got me digging in the crates. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I think it was
Tell me about
Art
the experience.
Basel in Atlanta. I think it was Atlanta Art Basel, and they had like this. I just remember it was like some kind of like metallic, like shoulder pad. And only I remember it because it was digging into my skin. So when I walk, it was like pinching me the whole time, and it had like some kind of like feathery, it was like feathers and like some metallic chest band thing and like a swimsuit aesthetic.
Something you would not wear walking down the street.
Not on the regular. That was not my aesthetic, but understand too, models, when you're doing these shows, it's not your say, it's just the designer's choice. It's their garments. So it's our job to be there to display it the best way possible. But I remember it only because it was like digging into my skin. So I walk, it goes like, oh, so I have scars for weeks with that.
Exactly. And me being a photographer, and sometimes I style models, and I explain to them, and sometimes I'm even doing shows where I'm doing the styling, and I try to explain to them that the only reason why designers make crazy outfits like that is so they can get their name in the paper. And just like you remembered who that person was, it makes everybody say, you know what, I'm gonna see what else he got. And
Yeah.
then you go there and you see he makes really good clothes, normal clothes, but he goes all out. So, designers, I encourage them to go all out in shows,
Yeah.
just make the craziest outfits. It don't really always gotta be about, the cut correctly or anything like that. Just make the statement so that your
Right.
name is heard, so that then people can go and take you seriously when they go to your website or whatever they see. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So what about couture? Have you done any of that? That's
Oh,
when,
absolutely. Couture is more of my lane. That's if you look at my pictures, I'm either in couture or something in that aesthetic. I don't really go to like the avant-garde too much or like the boudoir look. It's more so couture outfits. Um, I can name a plethora of names. Dave Tupaz is one I walked for a couple of times. Lisa Nicole, Sheen Magazine. I forgot the designer. Michelle. I forgot her name, last name. Michelle is one. I think it's Garcia. I could be wrong. Tarani Couture. I work with them with their showrooms. Plethora of names where these are all couture gowns, dresses, aesthetics. And that's more my lane. Just once again, a little bit of my background. I'm used to kind of making sure you're poised and posture. You cover up, Colette. You sanctified.
okay, right.
So I always just lean more towards those kind of collections. But I'm very open, and I love the diversity within the fashion as well.
Okay, what about sportswear?
I did a commercial with Puma. It's called Black Five Collection. So they had a joint collection, Puma and Black Five, and they have Black Five is a great collection: sneakers, sweatpants, jersey, t-shirts. That aesthetic, athletic leisure wear. And I did a commercial with them. I think in 2018 or 2019. I forgot what year it was. And I think it's on my Instagram or Facebook, but that was a great commercial. It was done in Brooklyn, New York. And I was excited about it. Number one, it was one of my first commercials, like big branded commercials. And it was great to people take pictures. You go by the Puma store in Manhattan, and it was a big poster board, and I'm in the ad, So that was a blessing, to be a part of that. And I thank you, Ricky David, the head owner of Fashion Brooklyn Week. He put me on with that as well, and he's a great guy, great connections. So it's always great to network as well and keep those connections pure.
If you haven't already, I want to make a suggestion that you do a love and basketball shoot because
oh Lord,
really? That shot where the girl just you do that, remake that.
Okay, someone told me, that's why I'm laughing, because someone told me I should do like a basketball pose, like with a jersey on, but with heels, and like kind of merge the modeling and basketball together. And I brush it off. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. But then you're saying it now, and I'm like, maybe I should do something
Do
like
like
that.
a series. Get a good photographer. Do like a series. All the inspiring basketball poses, even if they were done by men, but just the inspiring basketball poses. Put your spin on it, and boom, do it.
That's good. Yeah, I think right. Because you are the second person that brought it up, and I was like, no, at first, but now I'm thinking about it. I think I will. I think I will. Yeah.
I'm be at front row on the web, seeing all the photos when it's done.
Calvin, right? You should shoot it. You should.
All right, hey. Come on let's set it up. I do a lot of traveling, so when we done, we'll definitely have a conversation on that.
Let's set it up.
Now, okay, we will. All right. So the last thing I want to ask you: have you did a swimsuit type, not photo shoot, but runway?
Oh, absolutely. A few of them, absolutely. One that stood out to me because I love the designer. She's wonderful. Shayla, I think it's Shayla's Wear. I may be pronouncing this wrong. I'm bad with names, so forgive me. And I'll send the name so you can kind of post it up on the post edits. But Shayla Wear is one. I've done one for New York Fashion Week, about 2 seasons for New York Fashion Week. I've done one. And I'm bad with names. I can't remember these names, but I absolutely swimwear.
What model is?
Like I'm bad with names. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna do a reel with every model. They just can't remember that. So don't worry.
Because I'm not gonna. It's hard because you meet so many people in a very short period of time, and you kind of just like, how do I remember them? I remember my face, but my name is like, what is your name again? I met you last season, right? Oh yeah, perfect. And we started rekindling our conversation. But I just always been bad with names. But I walk with a plethora of swimwear, couture. Now probably not. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm getting older now. I might be a little bit more hippie now than I was in my 20s. I'm 35.
Might be right for swimwear now.
They might be
calling you like crazy,
Yeah, I got a little wagon back there now. So I ain't like when I was in the 20s. I got a little curve to me now. So I will still do it if they're open to that. Depending on the platform, of course, that's very important. But couture is more my thing for sure.
Okay, so again, we're still talking about runway, but so I want to ask you some of the places that you did runway in, and I'm going to put it out there, and you tell me about your experience and what it was like. Have you did a rooftop runway shoot, a runway show? I'm just asking. May have been, may. I didn't see all this on the page. I'm just saying.
Yes, I have. I done runway rooftop for Flying Solo, New York Fashion Week. And it was February, so it was the middle of winter, and we did it while it was snowing and sleeting outside, rooftop.
Oh, wow.
So what they end up doing was putting salt, like the sand salt, on the runway, which is a very glass sleek runway, by the way. So it's snowing outside. All the girls got heels on. Majority of us have heels on. Some has, they're doing swimwear too, so they kind of have like some aesthetic where some of the guys who's modeling have their shirts off. So if you saw some of the photos of Flying Solo, you would see me like glaring because there's snow coming down, hitting my face. So I'm kind of.
What year was this?
This is probably 2005, probably 2003. 2003. That's probably my last winter fashion week I show. After that, I was like, oh, I'm done. But probably one of the best produced shows I've have been a part of to this day. Flying Solo is wonderful. Very postured, very poised, very organized, high-end international platforms. But we walked on the runway. I probably worked for about 5 to 7 different designers. And we're walking and we're walking in snow, sleet coming down, and all you hear is because it's sand on the runway. So all you're hearing is some girls slipping and falling. So if you see my face, it's very like I'm focused. Like I didn't want to fall. Then I'm also getting like snow in my eye, but I don't want to blink and start doing this. You're on the runway. You want the shots right, so you're just getting snow in the eye while you're just still.
It's like driving. You gotta.
Yeah, and once the show was done, then it just happened to stop snowing. I'm like, oh, really? Now it's not going to snow after we did our whole show, but that was probably the most unexpected experiences that I have encountered. And with modeling, that happens, there was times I walked the runway and my heel broke in the middle of the runway. Stuff like that happens,
So how did that end?
So I was doing Style Fashion Week. If anybody knows Style, a New York Fashion Week show, shout out to Mark Gunter, and David Topaz was walking. And right before the runway, you know how they count you in? One girl go, you're waiting. All right, you're next. So the co-producer is telling me, you're up. But then when I walked before I hit the runway, I hear a click. So I look back like, hey, my heel broke. He said, well, we don't got time. You're on count. Just go. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So my heart is beating fast. And I said, Colette, you got to go. I said, Lord, use me. And I just start walking. And thank God it's a huge room and they had music playing. But if it was silent, all you would hear is this.
Clickety clack. Clickety clack.
So I'm walking and I'm doing a little, huh. So since I knew I'm doing this, I just kind of made like it was a sway. It's real subtle.
Do you remember the shoe brand?
I have a video on that. Yeah.
We're gonna shout out the shoe brand that get with these broken heels.
Oh no, that was my first model shoe, and I think that's probably where, because I had it since the Atlanta days. Back in early Atlanta modeling, that was like my Mike's. Remember like Mike's shoes? That was my Mike's for heels. So at that time, it just got worn out and the heel broke. So I told Mark, he's a photographer, head photographer of that show. I said, can you tell my heel broke? Can you look in the shots and see? He said, you look fine. He said, your heel broke? I said, it broke right before I hit the runway, but I couldn't turn back because I was the next model up. So he said, well, you did great. And I was beating myself about it, but that comes with the turf. If you fall, your heel broke, you got to keep it pushing. Models, get it together. Know your walk. Take the heels off or walk with them on. But you have to make sure you keep yourself focused and you slay the runway.
Right.
Slay.
So, all right. So we talked about high places. Okay. Now let's talk about down. You've been on the subway. You've been in the cave. You've been in the basement. Any kind of fashion shows in there?
Okay. I've done a lot of shows. Starting out, I would say I've done shows like in the club. If you know Atlanta, there's a club called 1145. Very popular club. I don't know if it's still called that. It's been years since I've been back. But I did runways in the clubs, lounges.
What's good is now people know they can call you for almost anything. You had experience doing, low and high and in between,
Oh, low and high in between. I did it for a radio show. There was casting models, I think, for artists or whatever. Now, at that point, I was just trying to get on. So I was doing whatever show that looked appealing, or it had some kind of back end. So I did shows in clubs. I did shows, music videos. I did music videos, a lot of music videos in Atlanta. I did a plethora. I did a lot of back end, like behind the scenes, music, movies. So like the Tupac film, I did that. Rosa Parks film did that. Chasing Waterfalls film, I did that. A lot of different work. A lot of, I would say, entertainment came out of Atlanta for me. So not just modeling, I also did some of the acting as well. A lot of the videos I have done, as well as radio and podcasts that really birthed that for me in Atlanta. And I just kind of took that and continued to move on once I moved from there as well. So, hi, Atlanta. I miss you. Second
Hot
home.
Atlanta.
Atlanta, honey. The pros and cons. I had to come back home, but that will always be my second home. Atlanta, I love it.
So what about on the street? Like, I've seen fashion shows on streets, where this.
That's a good question. I think I was casted for a show that was going to be on the street, but I ended up not doing it. I think I got like double booked. Um, but I'm trying to think. I haven't done something in the street for modeling. It was probably maybe film work, for films, but not modeling. I think the most I've done modeling that was kind of on that level would be like in the lounge club, something like that, or we had it like at some like church and they kind of built like a stage, like a big
Okay,
church.
I got you.
Yeah, one of those like mega churches, they had built like a stage, like in one of their rooms in their halls, whatever, stuff like that. Or maybe like a hotel, they have like a hotel where they have the cast and they turn it into a show that evening, something like that. So I worked my way up. I would say this: I started from the bottom. Now we here, and I
I,
didn't take classes. I learned
I
from
seen
experience.
I seen a
Literally.
fashion show on a flatbed truck in the middle of the street.
Yeah, I'm telling some girls feel like they have to spend thousands or hundreds of dollars to take classes. To be honest with you, life is your class. I literally learned from taking smaller shows so I could kind of get my rapport and get my practice in. And you still can network. Then you do your work at home. When you go home, still do your own homework. But I started off by taking these smaller shows, right? Smaller aesthetic shows, urban shows. And that's how I learned. I learned from these shows. And then once I continued to do the shows, I was networking and they said, oh, we like you. We have a show next week. Are you free? Yes. Hey, we like her. What's her name? Oh, that's Colette. Can you ask her to come over here? Someone in the audience, just do this. And I guarantee you, once you make yourself presentable and you put your best foot forward, doors will open. Guarantee it. You don't have to go to classes and spend $100. If to each his own, but don't forget our life is our experiences. Our life is our lessons learned book. It's a classroom. Go to these shows. I don't care if it's in the church or a school gym. Start somewhere and build your rapport up. Start networking and keep practicing at home. The more you do that consistently, I
Very
guarantee
good.
you got it.
So what's in your model bag?
And like physical model bag?
Yeah, what you carrying to the show, what's in there?
Okay, you want to get deep
These
in
girls,
person,
these
Calvin.
girls got these big bags.
I can't tell you what's in our girl bags, Calvin. Tis tis.
You just tell me, you just model bag. You're not
Okay.
doing it.
Okay, so for me, you have to have your heels. And when I say your heels, not one pair of heels, I would have a backup. So I always go with my black heels, my nude heels. I always kind of have a wedge heel. Then I would have a pair of socks, undergarments, to change in and change out. Always have your undergarments. I would have a robe, a silk robe, just in case we want you to change or do a fitting. You have that prepared. Of course, you have your deodorant, your toiletries, and baby wipes. Stay fresh during your casting. Sometimes you have a whole day of casting. So you're doing about 5 or 10 a day, depending on who you are, what agency you're with, or if you're independent, like myself, you got to prepare yourself for the day. So predominantly it's just heels, shoes, undergarments, toiletries to stay fresh, bottle of water, things like that. Nothing too dramatic. A robe, so you want to change it. And also if you're having your casting, you want to make sure you have your model attire on, your casting fit. If you're tired, some sweatpants in the bag, you could change out, a coat depending on the weather. Be presentable for the streets as well as for the castings. So you kind of just pack accordingly for that day.
Okay. Shout out your favorite shoe brand for the runway.
Ooh, favorite shoe brand, Calvin. I can't do that. What if I say a name and he's like, "Oh, okay, you did say this name."
That
You know,
name need to holler at you then. This is
right,
your
that's
this
what
is
I'm
your
saying. You
chance.
trying to get me out there. I don't have a favorite shoe brand, but I would say the shoe that I wore, the stiletto that I started off doing modeling with, was a Steve Madden stiletto pump heels, strap heel. Steve Madden. I started off walking in Steve Madden heels. And of course, at this point, I graduated, but that was my foundation. And it lasted for about 3 or 4 years, So I would say Steve Madden, not favorite,
Oh,
but I'll give him a
okay.
shout out. They'll hold me down.
Okay. Now, hold up. You was walking in a strappy heel?
Yeah,
Did
like a
you say
strap.
strap?
Well, not the twist up tie strap, where you have like the
I'm
strap.
sure just any kind of strap and walking is
Yeah,
terrible.
that's normal. You're not gonna have like a full. Well, you can do a full pump, but ideally it's like a strap stiletto heel. Something really
How about it
chic.
go to the ankle strap?
Well, like no, so it's like a strap over the toes, right? Then you have your ankle strap. Like it's a simple like stiletto heel. So not like the ones that twist up. Just one over your toes and one on your ankle, and you zip it up, and clamp it like a little zip up. You know, do it.
It's simple. Oh,
It's simple.
it's a glove compartment or something.
I'm telling you, it's simple. It's a regular, like go over your toes. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. It's go over your toes. Then, like, it's like a little strap around your ankle, and you can zip it up in the back, or you just, tie it, like a clamp, like around the ankle. It's simple. It's a really simple, common heel, Calvin. It's common. It was stiletto, probably about 3.5, 4 inch stiletto heel, and I wore
Right.
that for the first 3 years of my modeling career until my heel broke. And
right. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you tell me, give me your answer. All right. Samsung or iPhone?
Oh, I was a Joy baby for some years. Like overall?
Yeah.
Oh, overall. I like me a Joy, but only reason why I say iPhone because I have one now. And their quality for picture and video is better, but that's the only pro for iPhone. So iPhone because I have one. But I was a Joy baby for a minute. I was fighting it, Calvin. I want to keep my Samsung so bad. Start overheating. Had to throw it out. But I'll do iPhone.
Okay. Laptop or tablet?
Laptop.
Laptop?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Sports car or muscle car? If you know the difference.
Neither.
Okay.
Neither.
Car or SUV?
Car.
Why?
I would say car, because I have one, but I prefer. Wait, is Jeep a SUV?
Yeah, I would consider Jeep a SUV. I mean, they've
All right.
been really doctoring up Jeeps lately, so
Right. I don't know. If Jeep is considered an SUV, then I would do Jeep. Right now I have a sedan, but I overall want a Jeep. So
gold
SUV
or silver?
for jewelry?
Yeah.
Oh, gold, honey. The melanin pops more with gold. You know that. You know that. The melanin pops with the gold, honey. Yes. Glory to God.
Weave or braids?
Weave or braids? Well, I got my braids in, so I'm gonna say braids. Hey, braided sisters. But I love me a good bundle. Give me a good bundle me down. But I got the braids in right now. So hey, braided queens.
Uh, plant-based or non-plant based?
I'm not really into that stuff, to be honest with you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as it works. Be honest with you. I would say plant-based because it sounds right, but be honest with you, it don't really matter to me.
Yeah.
As long as it's not uberly toxic. I don't want something like dramatically toxic, but if it works, it works. I ain't tripping.
Shoes or sneakers?
Shoes.
Okay.
I'm not a big sneakerhead, shockingly. I'm not.
Jeans or pants?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Calvin, since I've been getting a little curvy. I've been liking like a little nice little something loose, a pants, a legging, I would say maybe a pant. I haven't worn jeans in a while. A pant.
Okay. So you have on, you're carrying an iPhone, wearing a pair of pants with some shoes on. Okay, so that's classy all the way. Okay. And then you get in the
What I
got
got on?
you got on a pair of shoes, wearing pants, getting in the Jeep, listening on an iPhone.
That's so crazy. But that I did say that, so I guess that's what it is.
So let's talk about photo shoots. And I know you took a whole lot of photos over time with a lot of amazing, great photographers. You got some great photos on your page.
Praise God.
Tell me about the best photo shoot experience you had.
You're gonna have me dig in the crates. I have so many I could think of. Um, I would go with, I don't want to say the best, but I would say one that really had a great influence onto me. I would say Malcolm Staples. Hi, Malcolm. Love you. Great designer from DMV. I started shooting with him and working with him probably back in 2023. I did a fashion show, a New York Fashion Week. He was my designer, and from there we just clicked. And I did a photo shoot with him in New York. We got up at 7 a.m. in Manhattan. So the ones in the streets, but it's cold. It's probably like in November, October, so it's cold out there. But we did like a Tiffany collection, Tiffany collection, and that was a great experience. He treated me well. We had wonderful shots, a plethora of outfits. He designs great. We had indoor and outdoor. So a lot of it was a theme of Tiffany breakfast. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, I guess, the show or commercial aesthetic it was. And from there, I was able to be introduced as well to phenomenal photographer Denny Mose in
Mhm.
Brooklyn. No, actually, I'm sorry, in Harlem. And from there, I've been working with Denny as well with my own personal shoots. So Malcolm Staples opened that door for me and introduced us. And from there, me and him was also able to work, which you saw some of the shots on my social media pages, which turned out phenomenal. So I would say Malcolm Staples really opened the door for me and gave me that look and that connection to continue to shoot and have these opportunities to do these shots in New York.
Okay. So what is it like shooting on the New York City streets?
I love it, to be honest with you. And when you're shooting as the New York starts to wake up, because we shot like at 7, so it was kind of dead for about an hour to 30 minutes. And about 9 o'clock hit, you would think it's 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in New York. Everybody's out. So we're doing shoots and they're stopping like, oh my gosh. Oh, I love this. And it gives you that warming, exciting, encouraging feeling, like, hey, let me pose a little bit better. Oh, they like that. Let me give them a little bit of this. And you strutting and you're showing your stuff, New York is really a city full of energy. I don't know anyone who could shoot in New York and say it was a dull moment. Like I would shoot right in Harlem. It don't got to be nowhere, extravagance, upper echelon. I go right there in Harlem. We would shoot right in the middle of the street. It's about you and that connection with your photographer. You being confident, getting the right angle, the right poses. That's why it's very important to work and look in the mirror. Ladies, spend an hour a day if you can just posing. And whatever feels most awkward, to be honest with you, Calvin, it looks the best in the photographer, in the camera, the lens, like, oh, that looks great. But it feels weird.
Know your angles, as they say.
Know your angles. The awkwardest poses. It could feel so awkward doing a really odd pose. But if you look back in those lenses, Calvin, I know you're like, perfect shot. Got it. And it'll be those
When
awkward poses shots.
I want a lot of times as photographers, when we're asking for those awkward shots, what we're trying to do is get attention. We want you looking through 100 photos a day. You see an awkward shot. You going, how was she doing? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
It makes you stop, look, analyze, and say, you know what, that's still hot because she's doing it and she's hot.
Right.
So she's, but she's hot and she does it in a way that makes it look hot. So, she makes awkward look cool. And that's what we're trying to do.
Right, it's angle, especially if she's doing an awkward shot or posing, and you get the right angle of it. It's pure. It's fashion. That's what we're looking for. You want something that stands out. It don't gotta even be something dramatic. Something very subtle. Very subtle movements, and you capture at the right time, the right angle, the right shot. It's perfect. It's what you're looking for.
Right. So, have you ever did a photo shoot on the beach?
On the beach, no, I have not. I actually was supposed to do one in Boston. Shout out to Sharon Cox, designer in Boston, Massachusetts. Wonderful designer. I was going to do so, but the timing wasn't right. So we ended up just postponing that for me, but she still did the shoot. But I will love to. That's something I have to check off on my to-do list is definitely do a beach shoot sooner than
Yeah,
later.
beach shoots are very fun. Beach shoots are very fun,
Absolutely.
especially when you have a crew or a team in a tent.
You're
Because the
right.
tent acts as your operating station. I normally get two tents when I do one so the model can change and one so you can just have all the equipment and stuff. And I'll have like 4 or 5 other photographers or friends just kind of help me on the shoot. And it really makes me feel good because you got all these tents, you got all this tech, and it's just so much stuff
Right.
going on. So then you can just kind of have fun when the shoot's over. You can just do your thing. So yeah, yeah.
I would love to do
So
it too.
now, have you did any photo shoots in extreme places on trains, planes, or anything like that?
Nothing in extreme, no. Probably like in the streets, nothing like regarding to like trains or anything like that. I was trying to think, did I do it on a boat? No, I haven't did it on a boat. I'm nothing crazy. Everything kind of been, on the fly sometimes. Like, hey, we want to shoot. Like I remember one time, literally right off of a runway near Fashion Week, right fresh from the runway. We're taking behind the scenes shots. And photographer were like, hey, you two, come over here. I want to shoot you guys. So they're like, cool. So we started shooting, behind the scenes. You know how this go, behind the scenes after the runway shot. And he said, you know what? I want to shoot you guys outside. So we're like, okay. Once again, it's February. It's cold. It's cold, but
Coldest
we
month of the year.
cold month. But remind you, February is when you have, I think it's summer spring season, right? So February time is summer spring. So we're doing summer spring collections. So there'll be swimwear, So we're wearing swimsuits in February. So we're outside, and he said, what I want you guys to do when this light turns red, go in the crosswalk and just do a pose. And you have about 10 seconds before the light turns back green, So we're literally in the street. So we're posing, but we didn't realize the light kind of been red for some time. So as we're posing, the yellow they're passing us. Now they're passing us. And he said, you know what? Forget it. Just stay there. Hold it. So we're like, oh my God. So we're posing. You probably saw it on my social media probably back in 2022. We're posing. And the model that was with me, I think her name is Monica or Monique. And you see like yellow caps passing behind us because we're literally in the middle of the street while the cars are passing. And he's like, stay there. Hold it. Pass it. Hold it. You look great. And the shot came out phenomenal. When I say that was probably one of the most unexpected on the fly shots that came out perfect. And I was like, I think I like this New York Fashion Week life. That was probably like my second season I did New York Fashion Week. I was still living in Georgia back and forth, but I'm like, this is actually pretty cool, and that was probably the off the fly shot I have ever done to this day.
Tell me about the last clothing brand that you modeled for.
Last clothing brand I modeled for is a few. I did recently the last season of New York Fashion Week with EPN, which I love them to death. Um, and one designer that stood out the most that took the height of the show, her name was Anita Wan, or pronouncing it correctly, from China. And she had this like anime but like warrior aesthetic. I think you may have seen it where she dressed everyone in this very like warrior anime gowns, and she did all this by hand. She said she stitched everything by hand. Everything was kind of influenced from that anime perspective. And I never had a designer like ever walk for a designer in that kind of way where they had that kind of aesthetic, so very gowns and, kind of made you feel like power, but very soft, kind of like a fairy tale, kind of give you that fairy
Right,
tale. So that one was back in September for New York Fashion Week EPN, Anita Wan, great designer from China. And she's still the show. Like to this day, they still talk about that show. Like she's still the show, and that was a wonderful collection. Chef Kiss.
So what what would you say you stand for? What is the nonprofit uh, charity that you say, you know what? If I had to give or something to give, I would give it to them, and why?
That's a great question. I don't have a charity in mind.
If
But
you
once,
can help someone, if you can
honestly,
help people, if you can make people aware of something, if you could, you had this magic wand that you could help or do, or maybe not help, or whatever it is, what would you do? This sort of like a takeaway for you, just
okay.
something, we can leave people.
Well, there was one thing that I always like wanted to do. I was little. I used to have like a little journal, and I had a journal that I wrote down certain things that I wanted to do in life. And I've written down that I wanted to create an organization for women and children who was either like abused, sex trafficked, beaten, anything in that nature. And I wanted to kind of create an organization that kind of have housing and safety nests for them. This is probably back when I was like 10, 11 years old, but I always kind of stand by that. I would love to create an organization or be a part of one that really is focusing on young women with children, or also older women with children who are, put in these situations where they're being sex trafficked or being abused mentally, physically, or just left high and stranded in the street, homeless, and they give them
Mhm.
programs to kind of help them get back on their feet, and also display love, agape love, to all. So I'm big on that. If I come across anybody who has organizations like that, I always tend to, support any shape, way, or form. But once again, I don't have my own organization, but that is something that is really close and near to my heart. I always wanted to do something like that growing up, like have an organization to help those young women and children who are in need, for sure.
If you could describe yourself in one paragraph, what would it be?
One
So,
paragraph, Calvin.
yeah,
Gee,
just one short. Don't gotta be long. Just, I mean, I could
I'll be
describe
a couple of
myself in a few
words.
words.
A
A
couple of
couple
words, a
words. I
paragraph.
wanted, I wanted to just give you the floor. So, I
Okay.
I don't want you to miss something. You can just say happy, and then you're not happy all the time. Just say,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say one word. This is authentic. I have nothing written down. I just be. This is
Off the
just.
fly. I love it. I love it.
And everybody said, man, no, I actually got three things written, but I didn't even say it. You know,
Oh, why not?
it, like this. This just say fashion, basketball, runway, photo shoot, swimsuit, swimsuit. That's it. It doesn't say anything. But I
Oh,
kind of went
those,
through
so
all
we touch
that.
those.
Yeah.
We touch those, yeah. But I would say for me, I'm like a banana, and the more you peel back, you more you see different layers of me, I kind of come off very introverted, but I have extrovert energy. So people see me like, oh, she's extroverted, but in honesty, I'm really to myself a lot. I enjoy my peace. I enjoy being in the peace of God. I'm also very comedic. I love to laugh. Laughter is my language. I could joke all day. Um, and I would definitely say I'm very organized. People will say I'm OCD. I'm a neat freak, Calvin. If you come over,
Mhm.
take your shoes off, wash your hands, clean that dish. I always know I'm very particular. I vacuum the floor every night. I walk in the house with shoes on. So if I feel a crumb, oh, it's a problem. I freak out. So I'm very particular. As I get older, I get very particular about stuff. But I'm very loving. I'm a Sagittarius. So, people say, we ride or die for my peoples now. If I rock with you, I rock with you till the wheels fall off, So I'm God fearing, I'm a child of God through Christ Jesus. I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner, but I do my best to just try to stay in his presence and, abide by his will, and I'm a student of life. I learn every day something new. I don't know it all. What was that?
You needed the whole paragraph.
I did. Well, I'm filling the blanks now. I'm filling the blanks. You said a paragraph, so I said I might as well give him what he want. Give him what he need. But I honestly, I think I'm a good time, and I do enjoy, life. I really do. And I'm excited for the new chapters that God has for me, and those doors that will open for me, and also me giving people opportunities too. I'm a big supporter. I'm big on opening doors for others as those doors open for me. So
What's your favorite movie?
mm, I don't have a favorite movie. um to be honest with you, I'm not much of a movie person. I'm not like a big movie person, but I would say my background, I grew up in the music, so anything like music related stemmed to me, like the Wiz. Remember the Wiz with Michael
It was
Jackson
a
and
love.
Diana Ross? Oh, the Wiz is my thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I the Wiz and the Raisins, and we used to watch like live performances. So we used to watch Michael Jackson perform, MC Hammer, Hammer, Hammer,
Oh my
I
God.
am Hammer. Now put me in the mix. I grew up it's very musical. So my background is in depth in music, so we watch movies, but if it was, it's very like, music related, so I don't have a favorite movie, but if I had to pick one right now to watch, I'll watch The Wiz again. I watch it. Yeah.
Let me ask you the the your social media profiles and all those kind of things. If there's any way you want people to reach out to you, if they want to reach out and they got something to say, they want to comment, where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on all social media platforms, Colette Dubose, spelled COLETTE as in boy, OSE. And that's on all social media platforms. I also have a new podcast with me and my father called The Colette Show, where we just love and laugh at the Duboses. We banter. Of course, we give you the word of God, our foundations within Christ. But we cut up. Me and my dad, we go in, we joke, we laugh, talk about hot topics, church, music, sports, all the above. So feel free to find me on any of those platforms on social media.
Right. Is there anything you want to say to people?
Yes. I want to say thank you so much for joining us, having Calvin introduce me to the world and being on his platform. Thank you so much, Calvin. And whatever God has you to do, be sure to do it diligently. Don't give up. Keep pushing through. You are worthy and you have exactly enough to be enough. And that's my word.
Right. All right. We heard that. All right.